never heard that, but that's the origin of CAP. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to look.
There's a principle that
Right.
we have to follow.
Yeah.
We have to have.
Be true to yourself. You don't have to.
And when I came back, the place was a mess. So I knew I was a mess.
Deep in here now.
It's incredible.
I love it.
Me
That's
too.
good.
That's
Yeah.
good.
And applying the recovery out there. Good morning, everybody out there. What's up, everybody? We are live. We got a special guest out there. Richmond area, recovery world, recovery community. Those prisons, those jails we're in. We got a real special guest out here on here today. Before I introduce him, just want to give a shout out over here to Steve, the man, the myth behind the orchestrate here. Like the Wizard of Oz. What's the guy's name? Oz.
Yeah.
Oz. That's Oz.
Guy behind the curtain.
Guy behind the curtain.
That's right.
Yep. And then we have Tamara over here. She is one of our PRS interns. She's doing her thing. Camera can't shoot over there to her. It can, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tamara. She's snapping pictures. And then we have a special guest on today, everybody. And it's my man. It's my friend. We grew up together. We've been through a lot together. I'm happy. I wish I'd have known Troy when we were talking before we went live, everybody, that I thought Troy was at the college that he works at. He's a football coach, and I thought he was there. If I'd have known he was home, we would have did it in person, man. It'd been cool to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. So I think the last time I seen you was at when you were at Bird coaching, probably last year or something. But I got a good friend of mine on here today, Troy Taylor, Coach Taylor. I'll let you introduce yourself, and then I just we'll get into what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, Troy Taylor. I'm from Chesterfield, Virginia. I got this at the flea market, man. So I'm Chesterfield through and through, man. I'm from Route 10. I'm from Courthouse Green, and man, I've just been blessed. I've been blessed my whole life. To have friends like Jesse Wysocki and to be around the game of football, and so blessed to have great mentors that have helped lead me in the right direction.
My man, Troy. So, you before we went live, Troy was asking a few questions, and one, I just wanted to kind of set the stage for you, Troy, so you know what we do, and the audience that we speak to here. Steve, who you met, he's been able to, over the past year two, he's been able to work some contracts out with the prisons and the jails throughout the really throughout the East Coast.
The whole country.
The whole country, actually. So Troy, it's awesome. There's some things that they do. Now, they didn't do this when I was locked up. You remember when I was in Troy, when they came and visited me. But they have now, what they have in there is they have like you can get on tablets and you can actually watch content. So this content gets on those tablets, and people that are in prison and jails are able to see this content. And then it's also in the recovery community here in Richmond and nationally, because we put it on our Facebook page, we put it on our YouTube channel. And our message is just simply, man, we just want to get a message out there to motivate individuals, especially those that are struggling with addiction. That's what we do here at McShin. We treat people. We provide recovery. We provide hope. We provide a wide range of services to those that suffer from addiction. And Troy, it could be anywhere from housing, transportation. We have a 28-day recovery program. That 28-day recovery program, they can't work. They can have no electronics. So I was listening to you yesterday, and you were talking about some of the stuff at Fort Union. You were talking about some of the stuff there at Fort Union and how the guys can't have a phone. And it's very similar here. They can't have a phone, not for the whole time, but for their first 30 days, basically no phone, no electronics. What they do is they're in groups. They have a recovery coach who meets with them weekly, and they do kind of like little one-on-one sessions, goal setting, just kind of helping, coaching them along the way. Then they'll get linkage to other services, whether it's detox if it's needed, linkage to therapy, linkage to psychiatrist, and then food and any events we do is all included in that 28 days. And then we have a separate part of what we do, which is our recovery houses, and that's kind of just like a safe environment for individuals with addiction to live. So we have a wide range of participants, anywhere from 18 to 75 years old, different demographics from different places. We have people from all over the country that come here to get services. So that's our audience, and that's kind of what we do here. When we initially, so that program that I'm talking about, Troy, when it's men and women, they right now they program separately. But when they program, one of the things that we preach to them is, and it's kind of like, I know you've heard that analogy about a lion and the gazelle, right? And so when the lion's hunting the gazelle, they usually go after the one of the gazelle that's outside the pack, right?
Mm-hmm.
So never get the gazelle that's inside in the middle of the pack. It's usually one outside, one that might be hurt a little bit. That's who the lion will go after. So kind of the motto behind Get in the Herd was get in the herd, stay in the herd.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we try to teach, instill in the participants here is like, get in the herd. Don't get outside of the herd. Find your herd and get in it and stay in the middle of it. Because if you start to roam off from outside of it, that's when this illness, this disease of addiction can get at you, kind of like the lion. So that was kind of the model. That was one of the questions everybody audience out there that Troy had asked, is, what's the mission? What's behind Get in the Herd? And that's kind of where that sparked from. And so then our podcast grew, and not that we don't have like, thousands and thousands of followers, but we do, Troy, we do get a lot of listeners inside the prisons and the jails, and it's remarkable because, kind of like in that book, the Bible, right? It talks about who did Jesus go see? Jesus went and seen
me.
Yeah, right. He's seen he's seen all the bad people, right? He wanted to be
me.
And that's kind of like, it's cool that we can get in those prisons and jails and give a message. But it's there's people out in the world that listen to this too. So that's our mission, Troy, and that was the question that you had asked, and I wanted to make sure I got a good answer for you. But so this is our podcast, man. I'm glad you jumped on here, man. I was listening to you. I want to just dive into some questions for you, Troy, and then let's just chop it up. And Steve, I don't know if I told you this. So my goal, what I really want to do. So Troy and another good friend of ours that we grew up with, we call him Big Cool. His name's Kyle.
Big Coach
yeah,
Bald. He was like Coach
Bald.
Now
it's Coach Bald. Yeah.
He's a coach and he's bald.
He had long hair when he was in high school. The hair. But they were doing a good little podcast for a while on their own. And that was before Troy had took this position at Fork Union. And so we just kept. I always wanted to get on there, and I always wanted to vice versa get y'all on here, and it never happened. So I was telling both of them, I was like, well, let's get them on here. And I really wanted to start doing something like motivational because they're real good. These are just they're where we came from and the things that we've been through and the way we've been able to turn our lives around. It's just great motivation. It's hope. It's hope shot for people. So eventually, hopefully that's what this can spark. But Troy, I was listening to you yesterday, and when you sent me that message, I was texting Cam, and I was like, man, Cam, get on here. And he was in the shower, so he got on. He ended up getting on there. He got on there late, but when he got on there, he got mad, right, Troy, because he didn't understand. The first thing he heard. So Troy's on there, and he's doing. Troy does a lot of coaching, and he'll record some of the coaching he does, and and he does some education. And so Steve, he was doing some educating on recruiting, so football recruiting. And he when he got on there, Troy, first thing he heard was you say, man, football's not important. And so he texts me and he was like, what the hell? What does he mean football's not important? Like, he's mad because like to him right
Truth
now,
hurts, man.
Well,
Truth hurts.
And for him, it's important. Like, he's like a diehard, like it's like, that's his thing. Like, it's his passion. He loves football. He loves playing football. And I was like, and I texted him back and I said, well, the truth is in the grand scheme of things, Cam, it's not, but what is important is what you can learn from football. Or what football can get you. What can football get you, or what can you learn from it? And that's what's important. But like, I understand, because when I was his age, Troy, like, man, I lived, breathed sports. Whether it was playing basketball in somebody's driveway or playing football or whatever it was, like, I just wanted to play sports, and that's all I thought my life was going to be. you know, and I didn't understand that, man. But can you elaborate on that? Because that was a tough piece, and he came
Well,
on and he heard that.
you know, when you're young, you have all these dreams and ambitions, and that's great. But the NFL stands for not for long.
Yeah.
And they have a saying, the balls are owned by the owners and the lockers are rented. So, like, when you have a player like me, Xavier Carpenter, who graduated from high school last June, and I was coaching at Ed Waters in Jacksonville. I was going to bring him down there to play for me. And he texts me one day and he goes, "Hey, coach, I'm going to go back home to Kansas." That's where he was from. And I'm going to go to junior college. I said, "Okay, that's good." And then I'm doing a podcast and I get 2 missed calls from his grandma. And I call his grandma up, and his grandma says, Xavier was on his way to junior college in Kansas. And he swerved to the left, overcorrected to the right, and went up underneath an 18-wheeler and died. He was on the road for 10 hours. He was 2 hours away. And his mom and his sister, who's a year younger than him, were behind the car. So, like, as a coach, I want to help others. I want to change lives. I want to build champions. And, you know, Xavier, we had lost to Highland Springs in the regional championship his junior year.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I handed him the trophy, and I was like, next year we're coming back. We're getting a real one. And it turned out that summer before his senior year, he went to a camp at Norfolk State and blew out his ACL. And coaches had told him to come to that camp. He paid $60. And when he blew out his ACL, not one person helped him. Not one coach, not one trainer, no medical personnel. So the kid didn't get to play his senior year. He was going to go to junior college in Kansas, and he ended up dying on the way to junior college. And his mom and his sister saw it, and I had to speak at their funeral. So when I say football is not important, that's what I'm talking about. I had a player that we brought to Fort Union Military Academy. He was here for 2 weeks, and we got our first leave. So his beautiful girlfriend, beautiful inside and out, his high school sweetheart, picked him up from Fort Union, brought him back to Bassett, Virginia, which is in the middle of nowhere. That night, it was the Friday night that Bird lost to Thomas Dale. I got a phone call from his coach and said, "Have you heard about what happened to our guy?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "He got into a car wreck and his girlfriend is dead." And pretty much this kid, his arms look like Frankenstein. So I drove to Roanoke twice that weekend to see him, Jason Bethea. And that's what I mean when I say football is not important. Like, I've dedicated my life to football. I've put football in front of my faith, my family. So, like, things that you love, when your son said he loves football, things that you love, and I was 40 years old before I learned this, things that you love, you show it your time and attention. And I've showed football my time and attention at a price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
somebody who's done that, you know, in the end, nobody's going to remember if you play football. Nobody's going to remember how many championships you won. Nobody's going to remember if you got a scholarship. Nobody remembers who won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, it's just like fame is fleeting. And like what you're doing, Jesse, you're helping others, you're changing lives, and you're building champions. Not just like we're champions not because we win a plastic trophy. It's because of what we got inside us. And everybody's got it inside us.
Yeah.
From the top to the bottom. And man, I'm just blessed. I'm blessed to be here. But I only got 3 rules. Do what's right, do your best, treat people how you want to be treated. So, like, what do you think, Jesse, from what you're hearing?
Those are some good rules right there. I like them. It's a good motto. It's a good thing to live by. You know, when I listen to my son and Troy, I got a lot of kids, right? had kids when I was in high school. But I love my kids. I love my family. I'm a family guy. I don't want to say I have regrets, but because all the mistakes in my life I've learned from a lot, and I'm fortunate now where I'm raising, my three youngest, all and all the other ones are grown or are old, and but they're all in my life, except for my oldest son who passed away, but they're all in my life, and what I've learned about being a parent, it's first, like, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, I didn't have, and I love my dad, but I didn't have a father figure, right? My father figure was your dad, he was there, and I put a lot of energy into that, and when I heard my son, a couple things happened that really messed with my son this past year. But when I heard him yesterday, when he logged on there and he heard that, right, what I thought, right, was, it's not that he loves football, but really, Troy, what I think is he loves the way football makes him feel, right? And what I mean is, like,
it's his identity.
Yeah, it's like
It's who he is.
Yeah, he's good at it, right? So he loved the feeling, like, all through Little League, and you could shine in Little League. Just about anybody else can shine in Little League, but he shined in Little League, and so he was always getting accolades and getting pats on the backs and praises, and so that's what he loved. Honestly, that's what he liked. Football gave him that, and that's what I want to try to get him to understand is find your passion. What do you pay? Because if you're passionate about football, you don't always have to play it. Like, I wish I could have went the route of coaching, but I mean, I went a different route, but God had different things in store for me. I'm still able to coach, just in a different way, and maybe that's his path, but everybody's got to go through what they go through, and he had a major setback last year, and I listened to you talk about Xavier, and I follow high school football. Like, I've followed it ever since I left high school. I followed high school football. I love it, and I follow Bird because that's our alma mater, and Bird, we love it there. So I seen when that happened with him, the accident, and I seen some of these things that have happened, in this past year. I made a decision, Troy, and I remember talking to you about it, a couple of times about this. And my son was at Meadowbrook High School, which I loved the coaching staff there. Great coaches.
They're all my guys. They're all our guys.
Yeah,
they tribe.
Yeah, and they all spoke. They always spoke highly of you, the coaches that were there. And I love them. And I know that one of the coaches in particular got a little upset with this, right? But I decided to transfer my son in the middle of the school year, and, like, from football standpoint, really it was a parenting move for me, right? But, like, man, when I did this, so Steve, I don't know if I shared this with you, right? So at Meadowbrook High School, there was a stabbing that happened, which can happen at any school, and I know that. But it happened at Meadowbrook, and I'll never forget the feeling, right? Because I've lost one kid already. I lost my oldest son, so right. Like, I don't, if I lose another kid, I don't know what I would do. I get this phone call, right, and they're like, your school's on lockdown, and then my son calls me, Cam. He calls me from school, and Troy, he's trying to act tough and like it's not bothering him. But he's like, Dad, somebody just got stabbed in school. It's chaos, and all I hear is noise running around. And I'm like, all right. So now I'm, like, prepping them on what to do, because, like, I know what can happen from violence. So, especially violence like that. And so I'm prepping them, and I'm like, all right, look, first you need to find your sister. Go get your sister, and you need to stay on the wall. Don't get in the middle of the crowd. You don't know what's happening. Stay on the wall. Get near an exit. And I'm trying to prep him for all this. And he's listening. He's like, all right, I'll do it. And then then I'm in my car and I'm going to get him, because, like, I want to pick my kids up, right? And then I get there, and the whole street's shut down, right? They won't let you near the school. They won't let you down the street. And so, now I'm, like, upset. I'm like, damn, I want my kid. where can I get my kids from? I need to get them. You know, I got 2 kids there. I got, you know, I need to get my kids. And so, you know, finally I'm able to get them. And from that point on is where like I made a decision. All right, I'm going to get them. I blamed the school, you know, whether it was their fault or not. That's who I blamed, and it was my decision to move them to another school. And it just so happened that like, you know, Cam was heartbroken because they had suffered a major loss. They played, I don't know, they played Deep Run or somebody, and they should have beat them. They were way better than Deep Run, and they lost to him. So Cam, that day when he lost, I picked him up, right, and he's bawling, he's crying, he's mad. You know, he's 10th grade, you know, starting varsity, and he's putting it all on the field. And one of his coaches is right there with him, and the coach is like, "Look, man, he wants to leave." And you know, Cam was like, "Look, transfer me now. I want to get out of here." And I was like, "Look, we're not transferring you." You know, that happened, and then this situation happened at the school with the stabbing, and then they canceled one of the football games the next week, you know, and just a lot happened. And so I decided to transfer Cam, right? And I remember calling you, talking to you about it, Troy, and you gave me one of the best. I love what you said. I don't know if you remember what you said, right? But I love it. It's something that I use, you know, and you said it was about making decisions, right? Because I was struggling with the decision that I made. You were like,
I already know what you're gonna say, man.
yeah, and you told me, you said, just make the decision right.
It's not about making the right decision.
Yep,
it's about making the decision right.
Yeah.
If you worry your entire life about, is this the right decision? Like, you go crazy. Like, once you make the decision, make it right, man. It ain't about making the right decision. But like, yeah bro, I keep going.
No. That was man. It was just so it was what I needed to hear, and it's what I gave my son. You know, I was like, look, man, don't worry about it. Just make this decision right. Now you need to go out and do what you got to do to make it right. And so
what's right, do your best, treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah,
you follow those 3 rules. I'm working on it. But like in the herd, it makes total sense. Like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. That's from Mark Marrow, professional wrestler who was an addict.
That's who made that
saying. Show me your friends, I will show you your future. Mr. B said the cheat code to life. The cheat code to life is to surround yourself with people you want to be like. Who, whatever you're doing, whatever you're listening to, whatever you're reading, whatever you're watching, you are becoming, and you are teaching others. I believe in pattern. I believe that God is a pattern. I believe that the creator is a pattern. And my dad had a pattern. And he didn't tell us, he showed us. Because the effective truth is not what I say, it's what I do.
Yeah.
And my dad showed us the pattern. He just didn't tell us the pattern. And that's what you're doing with your son. You're showing them the pattern. You're showing them life is a pattern, man. Like, it's an algorithm. Like, if you stay on YouTube and make YouTube videos all the time, you're going to get good. If you want to be Nick Saban or Bill Belichick, the reason they're the GOATs is because they put the most time in. And they listened and they got better. So, like, the prodigal son, I've been both of them. I've been the one that went out and had fun and blew it and thought I wasn't worthy of our Father's love. And I've been the one that stayed at home and did what was right and thought I was going to get mine in this world. I thought if I helped others, I would get mine. I would get the good job, that I would become a millionaire, that I would win championships. I've been both of them. So like, ain't nobody better than anybody else.
Yeah.
And all the people out there watching, Coach Troy Taylor at gmail.com. I rock with Johnny Cash. I rock with Bob Marley. Like,
Steve likes Johnny Cash. That's
Johnny Cash was a friend to the downtrodden.
Yeah,
Johnny Cash never actually was in prison, but
he liked to go in those prisons, though. He did.
Yeah, he did. But he was in the Korean War for 3 years, and he felt like he was in a prison. You know, and some of us feel like we're in a prison when we're not really. Then there's some people who are in a physical prison, but like, Johnny Cash was a friend to the downtrodden, and people, what he said resonated, and what he preached and what he sang. And Jesse, the reason you are so great at what you do is because you know the right story to tell, because you lived it. You did it. You were that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And bro, the badder you seem, the more lies you tell. That's from Gangstar Guru. The badder you seem, the more lies you tell. Jesse Wysocki is a bad man. He could have been a professional boxer. He could have been a UFC guy. He doesn't seem like a bad man, but he is. So all these people out there trying to be bad, if you're really bad, you ain't got to try to act it. You just be it. Like, Jesse, I am. Whatever you say I am, you're probably going to be right.
Troy, Troy's funny. Hey, so I want to because when you gave me that, and everybody, man, I just hope you're listening to that jewel, man. You know, it's not about making the right decision. It's about making the decision right. And like I had when Troy when we were talking, because man, I was just so emotional with my decision, right? Because it ended up in my eyes, I kept thinking it was a bad decision because my son ended up getting hurt. Right, he ended up tearing his ACL.
The first play,
first play of the game, and he was so. Let me tell you, Troy, he was so hyped because he wanted to play against that team so bad because he played with all the kids. So everybody on Huguenot is like he knows them. They all wanted him to come there. They're all like, come to Huguenot and play. Come to Huguenot, you know. But he goes to Bird, and like he's just hyped, and there's all this talking back and forth. And the first play of the game, he tears his ACL. And like he's just devastated, and like that was one of the hardest things for me, Troy. I mean, you were there. I tore my ACL. I tore my ACL, and like this is what I was, and I wasn't telling myself. This is what I was thinking though. Like I tore my ACL, and didn't nobody come down to that football field to me. There was no parent down there. My dad wasn't there. My mom wasn't there. Right? Nobody took me to the hospital the next day. Like I struggled. In fact, I even tried to play. Right, I played on a torn ACL and tore it even more in the playoff game against freaking Verona. And so like, but like you said, patterns and what you're showing your kids. Like I remember walking down there and like, man, the pain that I could see in him. He was crying. He didn't want anybody to see him cry. He's bawling, not because he's in physical pain, but he's bawling because he's can't hurt. Play. Yeah, he's hurt emotionally and he's upset. And then he gets mad. And he's like, this is what hurt me, Troy. Right, this is what made me really questioned what I was doing as a parent. He looked at me and he said, Dad, this is all your fault. Right. He was like, it's your fault. Right. And and it was because it was out of anger. Right. He was mad, you know, because I transferred him to Bird, which he wanted to. Right. You know, but like he had nobody else to blame. You know, he just was so mad about it. You know, and eventually we talked about it, you know, and he knows that, you know, and it wasn't my fault. And he's doing this thing and he's recovering and he's putting every effort, you know, into it. And I fully believe he's going to be an animal on the field.
Yeah,
you know?
he always will be.
Yeah, ACLs don't destroy you like they did before. And like he's not going to be like me, man. I tore my ACL and I got hooked on pain pills, and next thing you know, I'm in high school doing heroin. You know, that was like my story. And he's not even close to going nowhere near that route. You know, and I'm just so grateful for that. Right. And this is what I told him. I said, look, man, you just got to make this decision right, you know, because that's what you know, it was just such a wonderful piece, man. Like, you know, now just do the work, Cam. You're going to be all right. You're going to get through this, man. It's going to make you stronger. Do the work, man. You know, make your decision right. Keep working, keep grinding. And, you know, I listen to you, you know, Troy, talk and do some of the coaching that you do. And, you know, and it's like you said, man, football, in the grand scheme of things, it's not important, man. We're building men here. You know, that's what you do, man, with these
We're
kids.
We're preparing them for the game. We're preparing them for the game of life. We're preparing them for when they blow out their ACL. We're preparing them for when their wife leaves them, when they get fired. We're preparing them from adversity, man. And it's like, I studied Dr. Carl Jung, who they don't teach about in psychology.
Oh, yeah, man. They say he's the father of psychology. He's a big egg thing.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Dr.
Carl Jung. Yeah.
Sigmund Freud didn't know nothing. Dr. Carl Jung knew it all. And Dr. Carl Jung, like, dude, you can't, all of us have good and bad in us. And if anybody, I know you know hustlers, like anybody that tells me that they ain't smart, that's somebody I don't trust, because somebody that's stupid doesn't claim not to be smart. And if anybody ever asks you, they can't play basketball, they get ready to take your money. So like, dude, ain't nobody perfect. Ain't nobody perfect, including me, including Jesse. And I don't care how holy they think they are. We are all blessed. And, you know, just thinking about this experience in coaching, like the reason you probably, and many others, including myself, dude, I was an early starter and an early stopper. Like I started drinking when I was 12, I don't know, 10. And I quit drinking when I was 21. I was an early starter and an early stopper. And I tell my kids in class this. They're like, Coach, do you drink? I'm like, no. Because if I did drink, I would get arrested because I'm not right already. So like, dude, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Like I haven't drank since I was 21. I'm 46 years old now. And like I had a day at Fork Union. I think I was upset about something. I went to the Dollar General and like there was a thought in my head, a spirit, an energy that was like, get you something out of the alcohol thing. I was like, what? Like, dude, that thought hadn't even like, but it came into my head. So like these thoughts, these energies, these spirits, they're not going away, man. So like,
how'd you counter that thought? What'd you do?
I'm 21. When I was 21, I quit drinking.
No.
So like I'm 46 now. So like I've made it how many years? 25? How many years is that? I ain't smart. I ain't a mathematician. I'm not a rocket scientist. I was like, dude, if you drink, you're going to get arrested, man. Something bad's going to happen because you know me. I know myself, man. Like my dad's an alcoholic.
Yeah, so
his dad was an alcoholic.
You played the tape back in your head. When that thought came, you just played that tape, man. I know what'll happen if I do this, so I'm not going to do it.
I know it's going to be bad, dog. I know I'm going to get arrested. So like, and here's another thing. Like people, my dad used to weigh 400 pounds, and he always used to say people are fat or people have addictions because they ain't strong. I don't agree with that, dude. There's nothing that makes money that ain't addictive other than taxes. Everything else is addictive, dude. It's made to be addictive. That's why they have these things, to get rich, to make money, to get us addicted. It's not you that has the problem. It's the people that's creating these things. Our food is addictive. Our entertainment is addictive. They know that we're attracted to colors and sounds. Like they know that these chemicals they put in medicine are addictive. They know that sugar is addictive.
Yeah, like, probably one of the most addictive substances out there is sugar.
That's for sure.
Yeah, man.
I remember Pops, man, big Daddy Dink, Big Pop. Remember when we went to I know he was still big. I don't think he had lost the weight yet, but when we went to watch Allen Iverson play. Remember when we watched Allen Iverson play?
Yeah, I think you punched somebody.
I just remember he brought his gun. He had a little gun on his hip. Your dad had the gun on the hip. We went to Arthur. It was called Arthur Ashe Center, right? Wasn't it
Arthur Ashe Center? Yeah.
Yeah, we watched it. Man, I was telling somebody the other day. I think I was telling my son because we went to watch John Marshall play, and they threw an alley hoop in the game, and I said, man, that ain't nothing. I said, you should see, man. When I was telling me and Coach Troy and his brother. And we went and watched Allen Iverson, Tony Rutledge play, and they were throwing alley hoops from half court. And he was like, "Nah." I was like, "Yeah, they were, man. Google it." And so he's Googling it. Play. Yeah, he finds it, and he's like, "Oh, dang, man," because it was unbelievable. And he was just a beast in high school. That was
like at the time, dude. You don't realize it, like, but my dad loved sports, and like, really, he was just like spending time with us. He was teaching us the pattern. He was showing us how to live life, how to maneuver in the world. And like my dad's lived in the same house since 1977, Courthouse Green. And, you know, he hasn't changed. He has his way. He learned it from the Marine Corps. And I mean, he learned it from how he grew up. And like, Jesse, I mean, my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, he's like, I really like that kid. I really like that kid. He reminds me of me. He reminds me of me when I was his age. He didn't say that me or my brother reminded him. He said, Jesse, he reminds me of me. So it's like, you got to see yourself in others. You can't think of yourself as being better than someone else. You got to see yourself in others, like the greatest leaders, the greatest teachers, the greatest coaches. There's not like this, the coach is here and the players here. It's like, we're in this together. And I see you and me. And I got a kid just text me from New Jersey. He's a black kid from Columbia, New Jersey. And he loves me. And I love him. And he said I'm motivational, but dude, my motivation comes from him. And he's such a great kid. And like football, it's a hustle, man. Everybody's hustling everybody. Everybody's hustling everybody. What do I mean by that? These kids that's freshmen in high school that's got offers, they're 6'5", 300 pounds. If they want 6'5", 300 pounds, they wouldn't have no offers. So like everybody's hustling everybody. Like Michael Orr. Do you think that family would have adopted Michael Orr from The Blind Side if he wasn't 6'6", 300 pounds? If he was 5'6", you think they would have adopted him?
Yeah.
Everybody's hustling everybody, man.
How old
And
was he
like,
when they adopted him? He wasn't with them when he was young, right?
no, and
He
like they
came
made him
old.
look like a goof. They made him look like he didn't know how to play football. He was from the streets. Like the high school coach is Hugh Freeze. He's the head coach at Auburn right now. They made him look like a goof. Like that's a big thing, man. Is like everybody out there watching. The only thing that is real is us. The only thing that is real is the people that love us. Because in recruiting, it isn't about who you love. It's about who loves you. And all those people out there watching, when times are tough, you know, when you're in a limo, everybody wants to get in the limo with you. But when the limo breaks down, who's there for you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you really find out who loves you, man. And stop worrying about what people think about you that don't love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff, Troy. Hey, let me ask you, what do you think about this on a football note? I see brother Tony took a job over at Clover Hill now.
Yeah, my brother is my twin brother, and his name's Tony Taylor. And I'm glad he's back into coaching because he's a great coach. He's just not a great coach in football. He's a great coach in life. And those kids are going to be better because he was their coach. It just makes me think of Fort Union Military Academy. They preach body, mind, and spirit. That you coming there are going to get better body, mind, and spirit. And I really did a big study on this. Those are the three states of consciousness. So like you get better in your body physically, you get better in your mind, your thought, and you get better in your spirit, which all of us have a spirit inside of us, no matter what they want to preach in science or what they want to say on TV. So like your thought becomes your emotion and your emotion becomes your actions. So like I was listening to Jay-Z on a podcast once, and he said the one thing they don't teach in school is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
knowing why you're having the emotions you're having, and like knowing like what led you like to your actions. And it's a thought and it's an emotion that leads to your actions. So like, I mean,
what's Troy, it's good stuff, man, because what you're talking about, this is what you do at a college. Well, it's a college. What is
it's a post-grad? It's a post-grad program to get guys ready for college.
Okay, so it's a post-grad school, and then it has a high school there as well.
Yes.
But you're at the post-grad school, and you know what you're teaching there, you know what you've taught at other colleges and high schools that you worked at. It's really, man, it's the same stuff that we talk about here with individuals with addiction, right? You know, we talk about this illness, you know, because I call it an illness, I call it a disease that individuals suffer from that have addiction.
Yeah, but we all got it.
Yeah, and what it does though is
whether you would admit it or not.
Yeah, exactly. And but it attacks the mind, the body, and the spirit, right? You know, mentally, it's an obsession, right? So mentally, when those that suffer from substance use disorder, they obsess, whether it's sugar whether it's heroin, whatever it is, whether it's porn, whether it's the phone, right? Taking somebody's phone nowadays, these kids, man, you take the phone from them, they obsess over it, right?
It's
That's
made
the
to be
mental
addictive.
piece. Yeah, that's the mental piece. That's the obsession, right? Then the body, right? The body piece. When you talk about addiction, the body piece, like and I'll talk about alcohol and you said your dad was an alcoholic, his dad was an alcoholic, right? Alcoholism produces, like, if you're an alcoholic and you drink alcohol, it produces an enzyme in the liver where your body physically wants more alcohol. Right, that's the physical part that we talk about, and then the spiritual part. So there's a spiritual part to this illness, right? And I think this is just in life. People can become so self-centered, right? They think that life revolves around them, and that's the stuff that we got to get out of. So we got to have a healthier spirit, and get out of the self-centeredness. And the best way to do that is to help somebody else. Be of service to other people. When you talk about the mind, the obsession, the best way to get outside of the obsession is to help somebody else.
It's the golden rule.
Yep. But now when we talk about the physical thing, the one thing I've learned if the physical is you just don't use it, right? Don't pick it up. Whatever it is that you're having this addiction with, just don't. That's the main thing you can do to help you physically, right? So, and we struggle with that, right? But if you are addicted to sugar, then don't pick up the sugar, right? If you're addicted to heroin, don't pick up the heroin. That's the physical stuff we can do to counter it. But like when you preach this, or when you teach this as a coach, right? Physically, let's get better physically. So let's get in the weight room. Let's work out. Let's run. Let's jog. Let's eat better. What can we do physically to get better? Mind. Let's learn. Let's read. Let's grow. Let's get the mind better. And then spirit. Let's be, like you said, do unto others as you want done unto you. Right. That's how you feed your spirit, man. And that's life lessons. That's things. That's that's all around what people need to do to get better, man. Life lessons. And that stuff will produce blessings for you, and you don't even, and we don't, we do it and we don't even want the blessings. We're just doing it because it just becomes a way of life, right? Like for you now, it's some sacrifice, man. And I heard it, and I heard the pain, bro. I understand that pain, because I know I've watched you from afar, because I consider you like a brother, man. And I know some of the things that have happened over the years because you put football first. I know what happens when you put, and football for you was your career, it was your job, it was your life. Right. I watched my dad do this, up until I was 9 years old. And then my parents got a divorce, and then I didn't really see him anymore. I had, every now and then I would see him. And I've watched, he did this, and I watch other people do this. They put their career before their family. They put their career before everything. Right. And it's whether they love it, whether they want the money from it, whatever it is, they put it first, and then you lose it. You lose whatever you put in front of it is what you're going to lose, and that's the stuff that you got to weigh out when you do that, when you make those decisions, right? And I think teaching kids, letting them know, look, football isn't everything. It isn't the most important thing, but what can you learn from football? What can you gain from football? That's what's important, and that's the stuff that I think you're giving these kids, man. That's pretty cool, man. How does do you have that eye appointment still? The eyes are important.
Hey,
now,
I'm not worried about it, dude.
Okay, I won't mess them things up now. You always had glasses when we were growing up. Does Fort Union recruit? Do they recruit for their post-grad? What do they do?
Yes.
They do?
Yes, I'm in charge of finding offensive defensive linemen from all around the country.
So each like coach, or is it so like I've watched a lot of recruiting stuff, and I've done this just for my son. Like when I was playing, like they didn't have what they have now. It was like, and what I've learned is like, so everybody gets all these offers now. And I was telling my son this. I was like, man, offers. What I think offer is nowadays is what letters were back in the day. Like schools would send letters to kids. Right. Now they just say, hey, you got an unofficial offer, because Cam will see all his friends that he's played ball with, and he's like, man, I'm way better than that kid. I dominated him in Little League. He won't good. Why is he getting the offer? He's getting offers. I'm not getting no offers. I'm like, Cam, that don't mean he's going to go to that school.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like, dude, but that's social media. That's the algorithm. That's the pattern. Like, They know us better than we know ourselves. They know what we hate more than we love, and they're going to show us what we hate. So they know that your son doesn't like seeing guys get offers, but he always stops and looks at it. So what are they going to show him? Guys getting more offers. And like, what is that saying? Like, comparison is the thief of joy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
That's a
like we need to worry about our 20 square feet. Like my dad used to tell me when I was a kid, Troy, if we didn't have the news and didn't have TV, we wouldn't know what was going on in China. And that's a good point. Like, nobody controls your 20 square feet other than you. And like, nobody controls whether I have a good day or a bad day other than me, because I'm in control of my 20 square feet. And this comes from like Tim Kite, who passed away. Like, we're all looking for somebody to trust. And whom do you put your trust? And like, we're looking for people who have character. And how do you show somebody you have character? It isn't that you tell them, hey, I'm a good person. You show them. You have a pattern of doing things the right way. You have a pattern of when you tell them that something's going to happen or you're going to do something, that it happens. So like, you're looking for people who are competent. They know what they're talking about, and they're trying to help you. So character, competent. They know what they're talking about. I know a little bit about football. You know a little bit about helping people overcome addiction. And then 3, connection. Like, they got to know you care about them. What is that old saying? Like, nobody cares what you know until you know they know that you care. So like, the reason you are successful, Jesse, is because you have character. You've shown these people that you've helped that you do. You just don't say it. You live it. My dad used to tell me, I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day. A lot of people can talk a good game. A lot of people can preach, but like, I would rather see a sermon than hear one any day.
Yeah.
And like, that's how I try to live. And am I perfect? Absolutely not. Like, I know myself. You have character. You show people your pattern. You are competent. You know what you're talking about, and you're trying to help others. Because there's some people that are real smart. They're competent, but they're jerks. They're not trying to teach nobody else anything. They don't care.
Yeah.
They would rather see you fail. And then the third thing is connection. Like, there's a teacher and student relationship. The teacher is not the only one that teaches. The teacher learns from the student. It's a give and take. Like, you said y'all have like a buddy system. So like, the people that are the most effective in helping people overcome their addictions are the people that know themselves the best, the people that are the most honest, the people who are genuine, the people who are authentic. They don't try to lie and say, well, I never did that. Or people can relate to them. And that's why you are where you're at and you've had so much success, is because you're so genuine. What do you think, Jesse?
Well, I think I think LT, I think you hit something on the nose, man. That honesty piece, man. Like, those that get truly honest, right? Those are the ones. And I don't want to say like you can't recover, like, because you might tell a lie here and there, man. But honesty, this is what I've learned, Troy. Honesty is the antidote to my sick thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sick thinking that I have, I got to get honest, right? And that doesn't mean I got to come up here on the podcast and like spill my deep, darkest secrets, right? But I need to find somebody that I trust, that I believe in, that I know has my best interest at heart, that I can get honest with, and I guess you could compare it to like Catholicism. You weren't. Did you grow up Catholic? You weren't Catholic. He was.
Yeah, we went on Christmas and Easter.
so you know how like
after communion we went to Hardee's.
Yeah,
sausage biscuits.
Yeah, so Catholics.
It's a ritual, dude. It's a pattern.
Yeah,
the body of Christ.
Yeah, well, they have that thing that's called confession, right? They go in there and they confess to somebody, right? So it's a similar thing, right? What I've learned is honesty is the antidote to my sick thinking, and I still, like you said, I'm not perfect, so I still have sick thinking. I still go into a dollar, not really a dollar store, but I'll go into like Food Lion or Kroger. I like to shop Kroger, get my Kroger points.
Oh, you're high dollar. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when I really want to go high dollars, it's Publix. then it's high dollar. Go to Publix or what's the other one? Wegmans.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll take a stop at Wegmans to get some healthy stuff. But that's it's. but when I go to these damn man, I lost my point, man. What was I talking about?
Well, you go to these. Well, you said when you
so when you went to the store and the thought about drink, it still happens to me. So I'm not cured. Like it's not like gone, as in those thoughts don't not come. Right? I'll go into one of these stores and I'll see some beer and I'll be like, damn man, it'd be nice. There was a time in my life where I drank and I wasn't shooting heroin, so it'd be nice to pick me up a beer and drink, right? You know, that same thought you were talking about that happened the other day, but then I play the tape back and I quickly remember, right? And then also I get honest about it, right? Like I get honest, like let's get honest. Have you ever been able to do that? Healthy?
No,
never, right? And it never was, right?
One ain't good enough.
Yeah, right. Honesty, and it's honesty, man. And that's what you were just talking about, man. You got to be honest and you got to have good self-awareness. You know, and that's what makes people great, man. They're able to get honest with themselves, you know, and they have very good self-awareness. You know, when you are self-aware, then you know what to do in those situations that arise for you, because you're hitting on something that's real important in life. I can't control Troy. I can't control Steve. I can't control Tamara. You know, I can't control, like I have this Tamara, I'm sorry. Tamara. Tamara, I'm sorry.
That's positive growth right there.
I can't, you know, I'm in a position that I never ever thought I'd be in, Troy, right? You know, coaching, like, and when I say coaching, like there's a team here that I'm a part of, and that, you know, they trust me enough to offer guidance and direction at times.
This is your ministry.
Yeah.
This is your vocation. This is your calling.
Yeah, and I just never, you know, never in my life thought I would be in position to do that, right? But I can't do it effectively if I don't practice the things that I talk about, right? I can't do it effectively if I'm not honest, you know. I can't do it effectively, you know, if I'm not willing to grow, willing to be taught. You know, applying humility. You know, these are all things that you have to do when you're in leadership roles, when you're in coaching roles. Like you have to do those things. They told me, right, willingness is the foundation of all growth, right? So I have to remain willing. You know, if I want to grow in life, I have to remain willing. I have to apply willingness. You know, so those are things that we have to do, and it's stuff that we learn in recovery here, you know. But it's like it's just life. It's everyday life stuff. You know, you have your those three things that you talk about, Troy. Which I like them. You know, I love them. It's great. I got three. It's funny. You got three. I got three things that I try to teach. Whenever I'm in a position to teach these three things, you know, the first thing is you got to identify the problem. Like, what's the problem? Like, what is the problem that you're facing? Identify the problem. And then the second thing is you got to identify the solution. What's the solution? You know, what is the solution? And then the third thing is you got to put it into action. You know, and those are my three things. You know, whether it's me talking to somebody with addiction, whether it's me talking to the team. Look, what's the problem, y'all? What's the solution? Now let's put it into action. You know, and I do this at home with my kids. So I was a single father for a good while. Two kids, Cam and Cadence. And one of the biggest things they used to do, and I remember you and Troy, you and Tony growing up, you know, y'all would have y'all tiffs and fights. Y'all were twins. Y'all would fight, right? You know, Cam and Cadence, I call them Irish twins because they're you know, a little over a year apart, right? And so they fought, you know, and Cam's older. And Cam thrived on picking on her. He loved picking on his sister. And this was their biggest fight growing up, Troy. So I lived, I had a 1-bedroom apartment. You know, I don't know how they were. This is when you were the PE teacher at, what's the name of that school?
Miles Jones.
Miles Jones.
You are the greatest Miles Jones.
Yeah. So
Southside.
So they're going to school here, and every morning, you know, I don't think I was driving at this time, you know, so I'd have to get them ready, get them onto the bus, and every morning, the biggest hurdle I would have with my daughter is, so when she put her socks on, you know, the line on top of the sock,
Yeah.
Socks have those lines, right? So when she put her sock on, that line would be under her foot, and so she would throw a fit. She's like, I don't want this line under my foot, and she start crying, right? Yeah, and she's fussing, and so I'm in the other room getting dressed. She's putting her sock on, throwing a fit. Cam hears her throwing a fit, and guess what he does? He goes in there and antagonizes her and starts picking with her, and and all I hear is them arguing, and so when I go into the room, what's the first thing I have to do? I have to identify the problem. What's the problem? Then the second thing is I got to find the solution, and then the third thing is I got to put it into action. So those became, that became like my life motto. Like, this is what I do. This is what I got to do on a daily basis. And then later on down the line, what I found out about these damn socks is that you can buy socks without the line. I kept throwing socks away. Yeah, I kept throwing them all away. I was like, all right, I'll just throw this one away. And then some nurse, when I was working at this assisted living community, she's like, you can buy socks without the lines. And I was like, well, holy cow, man. I wish I'd have known that. All the damn socks I've thrown away, man. But yeah, so that's, those are the things that I try to instill in myself and follow, man, and as you coach, as you try to give to others, what are some other things that you try to instill in them, Troy?
Dude, I going to Fork Union was a great experiment because I'm used to having kids for 4 and 5 years in my program. And at Fork Union, you only have them for 4 months. So we basically take these guys that are seniors, they graduate from high school, they come play for us for 4 months. So you got kids from everywhere. And dude, I would just watch their patterns. And the same kids that were always having an issue were always having an issue. It was like they were the common denominator. Like they would have issues with other people, but really the issue was them. So I started thinking about math. And you remember we used to do math in school, they probably do math different now, but the problem equals the answer. The problem equals the answer, right? And I guess they're equal. I don't know. 2 + 2 equals 4. Yeah, I don't know. The problem is the answer. So I started thinking dude, all these guys that keep having problems, arguments and fights, oh, I'm from Texas, you're from Florida, you suck. You're not D1, I'm D1. All these guys that kept having these problems with all these people around them outside of their 20 square feet, really, the problem was inside them. Mm-hmm. And the solution, the answer, is not outside of you. You can look all around the world for something that's going to solve that problem or that answer, and you ain't never going to find it. The problem and the answer is inside you. And this is something I learned this year just from watching these kids and their patterns. All the guys that had a problem, the problem was inside them. But also the answer was inside them. The answer wouldn't run off and vape, or whatever they're doing now, or run off and, go down the street and get a beer. They're not allowed to leave our campus, but whatever it is, the problem and the answer is inside you.
I agree.
It's kind of philosophical, man.
I love it, man. The answer definitely is inside, right? And you're right. The problem's usually inside too, man. Something I've learned, man, and I was sharing this. We did a podcast yesterday. I think it was on the podcast. I might have been just talking to Travis and just outside of it, but the bigger the problem in life, the smaller the step, right?
That was yesterday on the podcast.
Yeah, the bigger the problem, smaller the step, man. And that's what I've learned. I'll have these really big problems, and really it's just something. It's a small, minor thing that I got to do to fix it, but I'll make it way worse than what it is, So you love Fork Union? You've been there a year now?
No, I've only been there since August.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you something before. I want to talk a little bit about it. So you were saying that you recruit the D line and O line. So does is that usually how it is? Each specific coach of the position recruits for that, or do they usually have separate recruiters?
They a lot of schools do it a lot of different ways. So I talked about this last night in the recruiting 101. Eventually, man, someone's gonna have to stand on the table for you. Eventually, someone's gonna have to say, hey man, this guy can play for us. Kind of like somebody at the McShin Foundation said, hey, this guy right here, he's gonna be, the next whatever your job is. Someone's got to see it in you. So
somebody at that school or somebody that's got a connection
so
to
their
the
school.
school.
So like the University of Miami, they got 18 and 19-year-old kids that are, watching the portal, watching, scouting colleges, scouting high schools. And then like they bring a piece of paper to the O-line coach and go, hey, coach, these guys right here fit what we're looking for. Watch their film. Tell me who you like. So like at our place, like we're looking for guys who might have gotten hurt, a guy who might need to get more film, a guy that might need to raise his GPA up a little bit, somebody who might have been overlooked. Like the guys that are 8th and 9th graders that are getting offers right now, they've already peaked out. Like they're not going to get any bigger. They're not going to get any stronger. They're not going to get any faster. And like kids think like, oh, dude, you don't peak out in speed until you're almost 30 years old. The fastest people in the world, Usain Bolt, they're like close to 30. The strongest people in the world are close to 40. So like when you're 15 years old or 14 years old, like you think, well, I'm not fast enough. I'm not big enough. Like you got to realize, dude, it ain't about the destination. It's about the journey. And it's about the process, man. It's about the process. I call it the pattern. It's a pattern. Like you're not a finished product. There's so many guys that are getting overlooked because they might be an inch too short, or they might be a little bit too slow or not strong enough. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that strength thing, man. That's one thing I noticed with me, man. Like over the past, I'm 46 too, but through, since I've turned 40, I feel like I've gotten stronger, man. Like I lift weights. Like I work out all the time, lift weights. I'm in like good shape, but like I've noticed, man, when I was in high school, I wasn't benching and squatting and deadlifting like I'm doing now. Like, yeah, I'm freaking, I look back, but I lifted weights, but I don't think I went hard like they do now. Like, man, like I was like Cam, I mean, he goes hard now. I think he can go a lot harder, but that's just me being a dad, like, trying to, make him do more, man. But like, they nowadays they live in the gym, I mean, we went in the gym, but our workouts, like I remember going to one of the workouts that when you were at Bird doing, I don't remember us doing that time. I remember us like,
no, nobody was doing that.
We lifted some weights and then we played basketball after we lifted weights. Like it was like Coach Bland would let us go play basketball.
Yeah.
And we lifted some weights. We didn't have nobody in there showing us what to do. We just kind of did whatever in there. Now these schools have like the trainers in there and they're doing like group workouts and all that stuff, man. So it is definitely a lot more than what it was. Do a lot of your kids, what's the percentage of your kids that go to Fort Union post-grad go off to college?
100%.
So that's usually
we had 33 players and over 20 of them are already at colleges for second semester. And all of them had some type of offer after our federation game. So like we don't take guys that can't play, and we don't take guys that, aren't the mold. They don't fit the pattern. They don't fit the mold of a college football player. So like it's 100%, man, because
it's a wide range. It's from D3 to D1.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we didn't have any FBS guys because the FBSs were already done. The big dogs. They've already had their guys for a long time. They're either been recruiting freshmen and sophomores for 4 years, or they're getting guys out of the portal. So like. The thing about like if you're coming to Fort Union just to go D1, like you're coming there for the wrong reason. Like you gotta come here to Fort Union because you want to get better body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
Like if you come there, I guarantee you will be better than if you didn't come there because it's so hard. You're basically going from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I mean, it's every minute is like you're doing something, and they don't have no cell phones. It's tough.
So your guys went D2 or D3 or to like a JUCO
or 1AA or FCS.
So they went to ones, but like the double A's, not the FBS.
Yeah, BMI, Morgan State.
Yeah.
We didn't have any Miami guys. I mean, they used to back when the test was they had to take the SAT, but they couldn't. A lot of those kids couldn't get the SAT, so they'd come to Fort Union. Now you don't even have to take it. So
it's just GPA now.
Yeah, it's just GPA. And if you can't get a 2.3 core GPA, then like you're the problem. Like there's something wrong, man. You can't get a C. or C plus.
Troy, I mean, I wish I could have got you in person. Let's when do you go back to Fort Union? Next
Monday.
Oh, you're
We're
back
back
on Monday.
Monday.
How far is it away from here? What is it, like an hour and a half?
It's an hour west of here. It's in Fluvanna County.
Okay, I know I passed it going down 64. I think I've seen signs for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you get off that exit, it's probably about another 25 minutes.
What's your schedule like during the day then? Like,
I mean, we wake up at 6 a.m. and then they march to breakfast. No.
For you though. I'm talking about
but this is my schedule. I
you
have
to get up. You got to do all that too.
I do it because, dude, like, you don't get to know somebody unless like you really spend time with them. And like when I came there, they said, I need somebody that's gonna spend time around these guys. So like, dude, I know almost every kid that whole school. There's only like 250 kids, but like I go to breakfast with them. Then they go to chapel. And then after chapel, they go to class for 2.5 hours. Then we have about 2 hours where they go back to 30-minute chapel service. They go to lift weights. They eat. They come back to class for an hour and a half. Then they go to practice. And then after practice, they either lift weights or then they go eat dinner. Then after dinner, there's a hour and a half mandatory study hall from 8 to 9:30, where it's just you sitting at your desk with a book, a paper, and pencil. And that goes until 9:30. So it's hour and a half study hall every night other than Friday and Saturday. And they go to bed at 10. And then they wake up at 6 a.m. and it's rinse and repeat.
Yeah. It's good. I mean, that's how you train the brain, train the body. I love that. But so do you have the reason why I was asking this though, for you particularly, because I want to do another one. I just like to do like a little good motivational, man, just to get some content out to like these individuals that need to hear some good motivational stuff, man. So I want to get you, and I'll talk offline. I'll maybe call you when you're available.
We'll
maybe
figure it out, man. Like I like the audience and I like the message, and I want to help others. So
yeah, man.
Well, dude, I want to do it.
I love you, brother, man. Thank you for coming on here and kicking it with me for a little bit. And
thank you.
Yeah,
thank you, brother.
Yeah. Any before we get off though, any parting words, Troy? Anything?
I mean, like, I don't know who you are, and I don't know where you're from or what you've done, but like, man, there ain't nothing you haven't done that I haven't done myself or I'm capable of doing. So, like, man, you're blessed, and everybody's journey is different. And like, the harder the story, the better the movie. And I believe in the hero's journey, man. I'm a big fan of the hero's journey. And like, Jesse, you went into the belly of the whale like Jonah. Like you went through some dark times. You went to jail and you came out a different person. And, that was part of your story. So like, man, just know that you're blessed and you're loved and that we love y'all, and hit me up anytime at Coach Troy Taylor. Thank y'all.
All right. There you have everybody out there, man. Thank you, Troy.
And I'll stay on here after we end so I can just talk to y'all for a little bit.
Yeah,
Very good.
Anybody out there, listening, if you got a kid or if you play football or sports or any of that, you can always reach out to at Coach Taylor. He's an awesome dude, good friend of mine. Coach Troy Taylor and my man, we grew up together. We got a lot of stories. Maybe we'll get on here and share some stories next week. A lot of good stuff, man. We've been through a lot. I'm forever grateful for you and your brother and the family, man. Y'all took me in and loved on me, man. Always have, man. So thank you for coming on here. We out.